Hey guys, wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on Stellar Blade. I beat the game in about 80 hours, did all of the main story, obviously, did a little save scumming to get all the different endings, and did almost all of the side content. I'm just a few trophies short of a platinum. Maybe one day I'll go back and get it, but I have a pretty big backlog. I'm going to be moving on to some other content. So I thought it would be a good place to pause now on this game, give my final thoughts, and then maybe revisit it at some point in the future. You're going to be looking at gameplay here from the New Game Plus. So all of my cosmetics carry over, all of my skills. I kept it on the same normal difficulty, so I'm going to be blowing through enemies, but that's okay, because I just want to give you guys kind of an overview of the game, some of the things I loved about it, some of the things I didn't love about it, and things that I'm hopeful for the sequel. But I have to begin by saying the absolute elephant in the room here is the over-sexualization of a lot of the female characters. I don't know why it has to be in this game. It doesn't take away from the game. It doesn't really add to it for me. Yes, there's a lot of cleavage. There are a lot of jiggle physics. There's a lot of butt shots. Not any nudity, but leaving really nothing to the imagination. And honestly, if anything, I feel like it kind of takes away from the game in the sense that it's at times hard to take Eve seriously when half of her goodies and cookies are hanging out, so to speak. I mean, look at this cosmetic. Look at her butt. I mean, it's hard to take somebody serious as like a battle angel when she's running around on the beach in high heels wearing this kind of cosmetic. Additionally, if you want to go even more risque, they have, oh, I guess it won't let me change during combat here. Let me kill some guys here really quickly. Can I change my cosmetics now? Just to show you, I mean, yes, you can have a teddy bear, which is a great costume, by the way. Yeah, you could just go full-blown bikini if you wanted to. So this does exist. There are quite a few costumes. I don't even have them all. But like I said, it does kind of take away a little bit from the importance of the story of the game, I think, at times when your character is running around basically half naked. Anyways, I want to move past that because there's so much that this game offers. I would say it's a cross between a Dark Souls-esque game in terms of difficult, punishing combat, like a Sekiro type, that rewards you for being defensive. That is really the key here. You're going to have to get good at blocking attacks, and you're going to have to be good at doing what they call the perfect parry, where you block right as an enemy attacks you. That is going to be the absolute center of your offense. So if a game like that intrigues you, you're going to like this type of combat. If you are a button masher, then you might want to play this on like the story mode or the basic mode, because at least in that mode, you're going to find that the story is a lot easier to ingest. The boss fights do get tricky sometimes. You will spend some time on some of the harder bosses that are insanely punishing. You're probably hearing my controller clink when I block. That is the perfect parry. You're going to be doing a lot of that. You're also going to be doing different dodge rolls, and you can kind of like leap out of the way as well. All right, so what do I love about this game? I mean, right off the bat, it's hard not to talk about how beautiful the aesthetic is. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic Earth where things didn't go very well for the original inhabitants. The humans that have been inhabiting this planet have been largely exterminated by this enemy known as a Natiba. That's what you just saw me kill a minute ago. You actually see some of the spores out there. Oh, I guess they don't want me to turn around. Okay, calm down. You can actually see some of the spores out there kind of popping up out of the water. And basically, we are part of this elite fighting force of what we are known as these like battle angels, who are sweeping down on the planet in mass in an effort to destroy the Natibas and to try to help out, the elimination of these aliens to, make it better for humanity, right? It's very vague at times, and I don't want to get too much into the story. I don't want to ruin too much for you guys, but I will say that at times it's very vague as to who your alliance is to. The story is not what it seems at all. It definitely draws a lot of its inspiration, I would say, from Nier, for sure. But considering the two main characters of the game are you, Eve, and your teammate, who I don't know if we'll meet in a little bit, I'm going to show you here, Adam. You're playing as Adam and Eve. Might give you a little bit of an idea as to kind of what to expect story-wise. There are a lot of story elements that are there for the taking if you want. Some of the lore notes and some of the side missions and conversations you'll have with other characters will really kind of help flesh out the story. But if you don't want to, there's definitely enough exposition for sure that's going to fill in the gaps for you. But you will get a much greater appreciation if you take your time to go through some of the side content and some of the side quests to learn about some of the inhabitants of this last free city on Earth known as Zion. You're going to spend a lot of time in Zion. A lot of the game also features, as you're seeing me run through it, these larger-than-life, huge set pieces. Now, this game looks great on base PS5, but it looks even better on PlayStation 5 Pro. Trust me, you're going to get a lot 60 frame per second experience on both consoles, but you're going to get a lot more visual bells and whistles when you look at it on the Pro version. But I am recording it at 1080-60 on my old, ancient Elgato capture card, and it looks gorgeous. Lots and lots of attention to detail has been put into the particles and the lighting and the ray tracing. All of these effects will really help kind of flesh out the universe in this kind of weird future, post-apocalyptic, half man, half machine, full cleavage type of environment where your characters and the people you meet are going to have various augmentations to help them survive through this hellacious battlefield. You're seeing these larger-than-life soldiers beaming down, being destroyed basically en masse right now. And you're supposed to be the best of the best. So you can only imagine what the common folk are going through. And you will uncover a lot of that, like I said, in some of the side content.
Listen to me.
The story overall, lightly predictable, I will say. If you are a fan of these types of games, you might see some of the writing on the wall. But the really cool thing that they did is they give you a choice at the end of the game. They give you a choice between a couple different endings. Having seen both endings, they are both very well acted out. They're both entirely plausible. It's very clear there's a canon ending based on the end screen dialogue. But it's kind of up to you in terms of what you feel, I guess how you want your story to be told. And it was one of those games, I have to say, that genuinely gave me pause at the end. That really made me think, maybe I didn't pick the right thing. Maybe this is something that I need to really, really think about. And I love that there's that ambiguity. And like I said, I'm destroying these guys because I'm overpowered right now. But I love the ambiguity of some of these story scenes, and I love how the story is not really clear, like who's right and who's wrong here. And I think that these kind of anti-hero characters in these morally gray areas is where the best storytelling happens. You will question your loyalty at times, and this does pull maybe a little bit of like the Shadow of the Colossus type thing, where you're going to do something, but you're not going to be happy about doing it. But you're going to do it anyway, because the game kind of makes you. And I love that. I love that it forces you to kind of like think about it. And for that, I highly recommend it. Outside of the story elements, obviously the moment-to-moment gameplay, like I said, is very largely based on parrying and deflecting. Yes, you can attack some of the lesser enemies and go ham and just start spamming the button. But the reality is a lot of your combat is going to need to be set up by you blocking first. That allows you to charge up the various gauges that you have. And these gauges are going to allow you to unleash these hellacious attacks, which do significant amount of damage to enemy shields and their overall health. While some of the common enemies will give you an idea of kind of how to fight, it really comes down to those larger-than-life boss fights, where there are multiple phases to them. The attacks get more intense and more vicious, and you will be punished if you don't learn the fundamentals through the stage. I think the level design is great in that respect. It forces you to kind of work through how you want to engage a boss at the end by teaching you the things you need to know throughout the experience, and I like that. Because it's a skill-based system and you can go around and grind essentially for skill points if you want to, you can spend a lot of time basically kind of overpowering yourself, but eventually you're going to have to fight these enemies, and even though you might have every skill unlocked in the game, it's still going to come down to you parrying at the right time, blocking and doing dodge rolls, and knowing when to attack versus when to defend, and I like that as well. It was a really, really good balance between being too powerful and having the ability to just get good, so to speak. And I think that might scare some people away, because there were a couple bosses that took me a few tries. Now, towards the end of the game, when all of your skills are coming together and when all of your build is really coming together, you're going to find a lot of different pieces of gear that will enhance how you play. I'm going to actually skip through that so we can get into the menus here in a minute, so I can show you what I'm talking about. But I'll say that the some of the skills and the abilities that you'll learn will definitely enhance your overall build, and it'll make you feel better. So, for example, I have different gear here that, like this gear, gives me increased shield, increased attack speed, increased attack power, and damage reduction. If I was really good, I could probably take that damage reduction off, but let's just say that, you know, you're finding that you're burning through health potions a lot. Well, they have gear in here that will actually give you back health after you kill an enemy. And this can stack. So if you find other pieces of gear that do the same thing, your whole build can be centered around recovering health when you kill an enemy, if that's something that's important to you, which I like. You'll also get these exospines that are basically overarching kits that do different things. Like this particular one makes it easier to block and to parry. It also regenerates your shields faster. But let's say maybe you want to do a little bit more critical damage, and you want to do more damage, as you know, basically more of a reckless attack. Well, maybe something like this piece of gear might be better for you. Or if you want to try to be a little stealthier, because this game does allow you to do air assassinations and basically instant kills by sneaking up and assassinating enemies. Here you can see that it'll make it easier to do that, and actually can give you a health bonus after doing that. So that's really, really nice as well. We went over some of the cosmetics and the insane amount of jiggle physics in this game, of just how tight some of this lady's armor is. You can also change, you can put a little bit of dress up here. There's different types of cosmetics with glasses. You can also change your earrings, and then later on in the game you'll actually be able to meet a barber, and the barber will not only change your hairstyle but can also change your hair color. So you'll be able to kind of dress up a little bit if you want as well. Your companions will also get different abilities as well. The cool thing is, since all of this is rendered in-game, if you decide to play the game with the Rudolph pack, which is a free holiday, it was like the holiday season bonus, all the cutscenes will be this. Now, the characters obviously won't react. Like, why is a giant reindeer floating around with a giant red glowing nose? But it does kind of change some of the scenes. Imagine like that scene where we just watched Eve and Taki beam down to the planet. Taki dies, right? You saw her arm get cut off. Taki dies. It's like the first scene of the game. Imagine Eve cradling her dead body dressed as the fluffy bear, which you could do if you wanted to. You could play the game as a fluffy bear and run around. And because, like I said, everything is rendered in the game, you're going to be able to enjoy that, which I think is very, very funny. On top of the melee stuff, you actually also get a ranged weapon, which is really, really nice. There are different ammo types that you can unlock later on with your ranged weapon that are just like your traditional handgun or shotgun. You can actually get heat-seeking rockets and explosive shells later on. It's good to engage with an enemy to kind of start off at the beginning with a shot and then end up with a shot. Additionally, you saw me just blast a scanner there. And the scanner will basically survey the area, and it will give you ideas of where enemies are. It will give you major things you may want to look into, like pieces of interest. Like here, for example, that is an enemy there. Doesn't look like an enemy, but when you walk up, obviously it engages like an enemy. And the nice thing about that is if you want to take your time and scan, you can kind of get past some of like the Dark Souls-esque parts of the game where you're basically, just constantly scanning everything. And then here you can see there's a lot of puzzles in this game as well. You're going to find passcodes for various doors. You're going to find, you're going to have to do a lot of exploration on the levels to figure out how you progress. So if you don't remember the code, like I don't, the nice thing is they include a hint system. And all you're basically doing is you're tracing over the hint that you just got. Sometimes you'll find lore on the dead guys. There'll be like little journals they left behind that will tell you a little bit more about the world, obviously, of things that they saw, their last thoughts. And those things matter because, like I said, if you're really invested in the world, there isn't really a right and wrong answer on this conflict. And you're going to get to see it from both sides, which is actually really, really, really cool. It's going to allow you to get a better understanding. And I think if you play the game the way I played the game, you may get emotionally invested or think you're emotionally invested in one side or another, only to find out that you might not be so right at the end, which is a really, really cool thing. I love the kind of change of expectation in terms of what to expect. As I was talking earlier about some of those blocks, and kind of how that perfect block system works, you'll notice that my meter fills up, which allows me to unleash these really powerful attacks. I'll go ahead and do one here. It's going to basically one-shot this guy. But you get these very, very powerful attacks, which allow you to kind of make combat a little bit easier, right? Obviously, I think I'm totally gonna miss that jump and die. There's platforming too. The nice thing about the combat, like I was saying, is that you can store those things for boss fights if you want, or you could use them if it makes more sense to use them during some of the lesser enemies. And here I think they're gonna show us a little bit of an air assassination. If I could jump down, and there we go. That's an instant kill on an enemy, which is really, really nice. Gives you a little bit more points and a little bit more experience and that sort of thing. But there are a lot of abilities to unlock. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I will show you briefly on the skill tree. You're going to get a lot to choose from. And each of them have different emphasis. So beta is your kind of charged up attack. You have your regular attack, survival, which is just overall things that increases your health or your parrying ability. Later on, you're going to get a new Taki mode, and then Burst is yet another type of like basically game consumable that allows you to unleash some pretty hellacious attacks against the Nativa, which is a ton of fun. So I recommend this game. I really do. The last thing I'll say, and I've been talking the entire time, obviously, because this isn't really a Let's Play per se, but I'm talking over it specifically because I don't want to get copyright stricken. The soundtrack in this game is unreal. It is one of the best soundtracks I have ever heard in a video game. As soon as I started playing this game, I went out and I immediately bought the entire soundtrack on Apple Music, and I listened to it, and I love it. It is a very, very kind of, it's a cross between kind of like trance music and kind of like smooth electronic music mixed in with Japanese vocals, which is really, really cool. Sometimes the singers are speaking in English, sometimes they are speaking in Japanese. And the music does kind of ebb and flow depending on when you get into combat. Just like in Doom, which I think Doom is probably the, Doom is I think what really changed all of that, right? where the music is the same kind of bass line throughout the entire time. Then you engage into these massive boss fights, and the music flares up. And then as soon as the boss fight is over, the music flares back down. And it's nice, smooth, chill. And it's like, ooh, that's really, really, really cool. So I like that they added that into this game. And I think that you'll find yourself enjoying a lot of the music as well. And it makes the ride a lot better because each biome has its own music. Your camp has its own music, and a lot of this is customizable. So if there's a certain soundtrack that you like more than another, you'll be able to have that played. You can collect different records, that sort of thing. Like I said, there's a lot of deep customization that goes into this game, which I think you will appreciate. But all I can say, without giving too much away, you've been watching the first 10 minutes. Obviously, very skewed, because I am OP as hell. You won't have a lot of these abilities at the beginning of the game, but I give this game a chance. It didn't really receive, in my opinion, I don't think it received the credit it should have during the Game of Year Awards, because there were so many good games. And I think when I tell a lot of people about this game, they're like, wait, what is that? I mean, it is a PlayStation exclusive. So, you know, is it coming to other consoles later, or computer? I don't know. But, you know, it is kind of gated behind that. I think a lot of people probably didn't. It came out during a busy time of the year. But, I mean, this game is gorgeous. And like I said, you run it in a little bit higher performance mode. It does support all the different frame modes. You run it on something that has a little bit better graphics. Boy, does it really sing. Here they are down here. There's different. You can see all the different modes they have. And if you have a PlayStation Pro, like I said, you can get those two enhanced modes. I played it on Pro max the entire time. I was averaging about 90 frames a second with variable refresh rate. Super silky smooth. Absolute chef's kiss. So do yourself a favor and go play Stellar Blade, or at least put it on your list, put it on your wish list when it comes down in price. It's a good story. It's an amazing soundtrack. It's hard. It's fun. It's rewarding. There's a lot of side missions. There's a lot of content. Like I said, I got about 80 hours of value out of this. I do recommend it with every fiber in my being. And if there was such thing as a greatest of 2024 list, this game would absolutely be towards the top. All right. So that'll wrap up today's video. Little different video review format here. Now that I got the streaming set up, I wanted to actually show you what I was talking about. So if you like this format, leave a comment below. Let me know if you like these types of reviews, or do you like the more traditional reviews that I did where I'm just talking about a game in general, or do you want to just see my beautiful face and none of the gameplay? You let me know, because I want to hear it from you guys, okay? Thanks so much. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side. Bye-bye.